Alrighty, everyone. Welcome to our fifth round of Division 1 for Season 10 on this most glorious F123. We are in Jeddah for our random Grand Prix tonight. And yeah, it looks to be a lot of fun. Last time out, we had Quentin Cott, finishing P1 and pole for Jeddah at the beginning of Season 9. The only difference there was that was a full qualifying session. Tonight we are running a sprint with short qualifying. So this looks to be, we'll have definitely a lot of extra lap, or excuse me, we will have a little extra racing for everyone tonight. As we see on the leaderboard right now, we see Nathan Doan and Magnuson Cube with a, I've already retired. They both have accrued enough penalty points within our rules to have to serve a qualifying ban. They will be unable to set lap times for this session. But with this game only giving us the option with the sprint to use the sprint as our qualifying order for the feature race, they will have the opportunity to gain a few places before we actually do our primary race. We will be restarting the lobby after our sprint. This is just something to kind of help with stability. So we will be having a quick break after our sprint. I believe our sprint tonight is 9 laps with a 26-lap race, I believe. 25 laps. Something along those lines. Look. About 1 second. Sorry about that. I just want to make sure I had every window I would like to have up. So let us see. What are we doing? We have a few people. Most of everyone is already on the track. Now, again, one thing to keep in mind is tire allocation will not have much of an effect on our primary race, considering we were doing a lobby restart. But we actually have Quentin on his first push attempt, our pole sitter from last season, so let's ride on board with him, if I can remember how to do this. Quentin set pole with a 27.898. I'm sorry, 25.898. Already with a solid first sector of a 31.5. Previous lap would have been something of a 31.3 for his pole lap. This will be a banker with sprint, which generally when you have a lobby with a sprint, qualifying is a little bit slower. Just because qualifying is one session earlier than it usually is in the place where FP2 normally would be. I'm sorry, where FP3 would normally be, where the sprint is where qualifying would normally be. So a little bit less rubber on the track, excuse me. So let's see where Quentin will put his first banker lap. Everyone should have it. Well, we'll have at least enough time to do at least 3 laps. It's possible somebody might be able to squeeze out 4 stints here, but with how late everyone's laps are, I doubt that's going to happen. Quentin with a 26.124. Very solid banker, putting himself on provisional pole. As we look around for the next person on a lap, Major Castman, who actually won his first ever Division 1 race last week at Vegas on his first flyer. 27 flat, so puts him P12 just behind Ahmed Abdullahi, or Tino, in the our Alfa Romeo team principal. And if I can remember my hotkeys here, this should pull up our standings. So this is where we currently at. Cam Bourne, the legend himself, actually sits on top of our championship standings. And down in P4, who was our championship leader up until last week, missed Vegas because he had an incident with his pedals and they no longer work. So he's actually been replaced for the rest of the season by, we have here LDL Natshot, also known as, make sure I have the correct name here. Definitely should have replaced everyone's name Steam as so we give more accurate names. But Nathan Delisle, an LDL driver, French-Canadian driver. So he's replacing Piché for the rest of the season. Drop those standings off for us there. And he has begun his qualifying session with a 26.6, which puts him in P7. For reserve Nadewell, who has decided to retire, which is an interesting strategy. Michael Bubla, the holder of that Haas seat, has shown some solid pace this season, was unable to attend tonight because of a power outage. So we have so Nade was able to, or was gracious enough to fill in for him last second. So thank you, Nade, for that. Give us a full grid for tonight. Here we have Anand Trivedi, longtime Haas team principal, I think for 3 seasons. Currently on Haas right now, not as a team principal. That is now Labib on his first flyer. A little bit rough as we saw him just hit the wall a moment ago. Anand has definitely not had the most impressive qualifying results so far this season, but always a fighter, very scrappy in the race. We'll see where this puts him. In the P15 with a 27.229, so over a second off of our provisional pole right now. Now, one thing with our random race, for anyone who is unaware, our random race for all 3 of our races this weekend, we take a pool of every track that's not currently on our calendar. And then take out Monaco and Singapore because we like to use those for special occasions where we use full qualifying. And then we do a random roll 2 hours before race time, and everyone has 2 hours to run a few laps, get a setup, ready for the race. So tonight we rolled Jeddah. Last night in Division 2 we rolled Brazil, where Josh Mulder, Wild Poros, went from qualifying ban to first place in the feature race. A very impressive drive from him. We did have a few people out for Division 2, including championship contender John Ranger. Still a very impressive drive nonetheless. So now we're about the 9-minute point in this session. It's looking like a big part of the grid is on their way out for their second attempt. I believe we have an Aston Martin maybe at the front. Oh, I'm sorry, that's Beamer. Let's see, I'm not going to be Cal, who has yet to set a lap here. About to start his potential first lap. I wasn't sure if he actually did a lap or not before this. Maybe he had invalidated or hit a wall and bailed. Let's ride on board with Cal here as he makes his first valid push attempt. A little bit wide on that turn 1. You can probably take a little bit more of that, but still very clean from Cal through his first sector. Oh, looked like he almost was trying to avoid the wall there. A little bit early on the turn-in. Taking through this flat. Nails it, doesn't ride that curb and loses control of the car, so that's good for him. So still valid for him. Where does he go? 31.7, about 2/10 off of Quinton's sector 1 that we saw earlier. Nicholas Aro, also WR-DeFi, has currently our fastest sector 1 with a 31.486. Very cautious from Cal there to not hit the wall at the apex. Cal, also known as Kyle Blevins among his peers. Cal is a very appropriate nickname. Very smooth through those 2 corners. One more corner for Cal before he sets his first lap. Running into a little bit of a traffic here. Hopefully these people get out of his way. This Ferrari right in front of him, going really deep, trying to get out of his way. Looks like he's going to find a soft spot right there. And that Ferrari, I believe, of Marcel is going to have an insane tow here. Marcel Paps in the Ferrari, also Eruption. little slidey there on exit through turn 1 and going into turn 2. For the session, Marcel posted a screenshot of him doing a 25.7. So let's see. 31.3. Okay, he's 2/10 up on his time of a 26.3. So he's already looking close to breaking into the 25s. We'll see. Looking at his time that he posted before, he had quite a bit more. It looked like he was running quite a bit more arrows, so his sector 2 time was a little bit rough. Quentin with already breaking the 25s with a 25.8, already breaking his pole time from last season. Marcel, 1 corner to go. Let's see what he puts up. Remember, a huge toe from Cal going into turn 1. Ooh, a bit of a slide, not super smooth through that final corner. Just outside of the 25. Supposed to have been P2 with a 26.057. Ryan Newton with just behind him by 2 thousandths. The DeFi here is on his in lap, so he just did a 26.1. Go through the order here. Already completed his lap for Stelios. Cam Bourne on his cooldown just did a 26.545, our championship leader here. And we have Chad Swindle, who just did a 26.599. Chad, this is his second race with us this season. Missed Vegas last week, but was able to put it on pole in Spain the previous race. Ooh, it's the wall going into the pits. I believe that should do it for everyone's second stint. Ryan is going into the pits here. His battery is not on. And as well. So in practice before this race, being on the same team as Quentin, watching him do a little bit of practice, I did see him do a 25.7, so he may still have a 10th or a 10th and a half or so in there, but so far a pretty solid lead to everyone else. It's over 2 tenths to P2 at the moment. Session timer currently sits at 3 minutes and 50 seconds. So sometime in the next 60 seconds or so, everyone will go out for their final stint. Works. My telemetry hotkey works. I can toggle through the tab window without tabbing out. All right, I can look at the weather. So yeah, as you guys probably suspected, we are going to be dry for this entire session. This is Saudi Arabia. It's not known for its heavy amount of rain. A little bit of surprise though. Tinel, who was picked in the bottom 10 of our, not necessarily picked, but his pick was in the bottom 10, and he has not shown super great qualifying pace this season, but he sits right behind his new teammate, Nathan Delisle, LDL net shot. In P7, so solid position for him so far in this qualifying. Only 2 people have not broken into the 26s, 1 person into the 25. Now, yellow flags we'll see right now, people just dragging their brakes. We probably see, should be Cal right now, just trying to burn as much fuel as he can, get those tires up to a solid temperature. And there you see, you see on that scoreboard, everyone going out for their outlap now. We are 2 minutes and 3 seconds left on that timer. This stupid game likes to put the yellow flag above the session timer, which is really very convenient, since people are just driving slow to get out of the way or driving slow to drag their brakes. So yellow flags like to pop up Chad Swindle with a 5-place grid penalty. Still blocking, so that's unfortunate. Now, this is something we've had to deal with a lot this season. We've kind of stuck with the philosophy of if you get these grid penalties, we don't restart for them. And since we're going to be doing a sprint next, there's no way we can correct that. And again, like I said, the stance is right now, we do not correct these goofy grid penalties, even if they're weird. Just, you know, don't drive slowly next to somebody, don't crash into somebody, don't get grid penalties. That's kind of the stance that we've kind of taken for now. Hopefully, when we get the next game here in about less than 2 months, it'll work a little bit better. But that, I'm sure we've been saying that for years now. Oh, here we go. We have T-Nell on his final attempt. The first one to start. And Quentin, I believe Cal actually behind him. Very close to the wall there. Very smooth through this super fast section through Sector 1. He approaches the Sector 1 line. Let's see how he's improving. 31.5, so he's up over a little bit more than a tenth. A little bit wide on the entry there. Blows the apex a lot on that hairpin. One more corner for Ahmed here. Let's see, very smooth. A little hairiness on the throttle there. He's kind of sticking a really wide line towards the start-finish line here. Small improvement, less than a tenth for him, so 12 thousandths puts him in front of his teammate, but a lot of people going behind him. We have Cal about to finish his attempt, and he is well behind, so he's just gonna, I said, almost a half a second behind on his own time. So Cal P12 there. I believe we have, that's the right button. We actually have the other Alfa Romeo of Nathan Delisle. Unable to improve there also. Just a little bit out slower than his team principal. We have Marcel, I think, is finishing his attempt. He is invalidated, so he will not be improving. Behind him, we have, I believe, Cam Bourne. Ryan Newton with a grid penalty. That is almost looks like he's not even in control of his car. And we have actually Nicholas Aro with a 25.744. Where is Quentin? How much is Quentin up? He is not up. So Nicholas Aro, provisional pole right now with a 25.77. Quentin does a small improvement, but that is Nicholas Aro sitting on pole. That is it for everyone. That is Nicholas Aro with his first pole position of his career in ZRL. So congratulations to him and McLaren. Some spicy stuff happening back here with Ryan also getting a grid penalty, so he'll move down to P9. Chad Swindell down here in P6 with a 5-place grid penalty also, which will drop him down to, I think, P11. I don't see any more random grid penalties from the AI. Just waiting on Ryan and Simon to hire. Ryan admitting fault there, getting in someone's way. May have accidentally blocked somebody, which caused that collision. But that was not a game error, it appears. Again, the main race will be set by the sprint grid, or the sprint finishing grid, excuse me, so we'll get to that. They'll have opportunities to make up positions they've lost. Freddie Razzle continuing to show off his pace so far, his impressive pace from this season in P5, followed by his teammate of Chad Swindle. And the Alfa Romeos behind them of Ahmed Abdullahi and Nathan Delisle, T-Nell and Nat Shot. Cam Bourne, our championship leader, down in P9s. One issue with these random Grand Prix is qualifying is just that much harder, or everything is just that much harder. Some people just are able to hop on it really quickly and catch back up. Some people need a lot of laps, a lot of time, a lot of pace, a lot of practice to get back up to their normal pace. But we've seen Cam do a lot of stuff in these races, even if his qualifying pace isn't super fast. So we'll keep an eye on him to see where he comes out of this 9-lap sprint race coming up. Oh yeah, that is a good point. So it's being pointed out in our D1 general chat and Discord that the grid penalties don't actually get applied until the main race, and since we're restarting the session after the sprint, those grid penalties will be disregarded. So we'll just any kind of qualifying penalty will be ruled by stewards through our ticket system. Won't game grid penalty qualifying. A few minutes for everyone to change their setups again. For anyone who is unaware, we currently run no park firme. One just says kind of a thing to mix things up, and also there's a lobby bug that we're trying to avoid, or at least try not to punish people for having it. If your game crashes or you disconnect and try to rejoin, sometimes you'll rejoin, take control of your car. It won't give you full control. You try to leave, try to leave and come back to get full control of your car. It sometimes automatically retires you, which means some people may not get a setup in time because their game crashes. They won't have a setup for the race. So right now we're running no park firme. And we'll see. We'll kind of keep talking about it going into the next game to see if this is something we want to stick with. Here we go. We're actually starting the race. Quentin with a pretty solid start looking there, but DeFi coming clear. Quentin really close to him in turn 1, but not close enough to make any kind of move. DeFi is able to hold position. A little bit of bumping between Eruption and Ryan Newton. Ryan Newton, our D1 champion from last season. Take a look at our tires for the start here. 18 drivers on mediums, 2 drivers on the softs. Tire wear here is, I would say, about average. Kind of on the lower end for a track time this long. Maxime overtaking his teammate Jaquan. Both of them in front of Stelios. Big battle there. Almost 4 wide. Stelios and Jaquan kind of sticking in this battle. Stelios backing out. But Jaquan able to hold Stelios off for now. Now, we remember this is still last year's game, so we still have DRS. Oh, big lag spike for Stelios, or maybe that was me, whatever that was, but Jaquan's back there. Nobody got killed by that. Back up towards the front. Very close battle between our 3 leaders. Oh, no, Quentin. Looks like Quentin and Eruption went into the wall there. I'm curious if anyone has damage. Like, no one has damage at the moment. Nicholas Aro getting spun all the way to the back of the grid after the sprint, or after lap 1. I'm not sure. Didn't have a great view there. Ryan actually overtaking Quentin also. So may have something already for the stewards to have to look at, but remember, we can't change the grid penalty, or we can't change the grid order between the sessions. Live stewarding is really not something we can do. However they finish here, that will be their starting position for the race. Unfortunate for Nicholas Aro. Stelios actually all the way back in P20 also. Some kind of incident happening. Eruption now leads our sprint race. Fred's still in DRS. His soft tires generally will start to fall off around a lap 3 or 4, depending on how much wear people put into them. Camborn on the softs, trying to make up places. Maxime, but really close behind him also. Maxime dumping a big amount of battery. Looks like he's trying to get in front of Cam. And another incident. Looks like DeFi around again. Nicholas Aro having either another incident or just spinning on his own towards the back. So now he's in P20. Well outside the points. And it looks like struggling to get back on the track. Eruption setting the fastest lap from the lead. Quentin actually losing the train, or actually being attacked by Freddie Razzle. A little bumping there between Fred and Quentin, but they both already lost Eruption and Ryan at the lead. Or in the lead, excuse me. Now, a big task for Fred to try to catch up to the back of Ryan. We do have DRS. This is the third lap of the race. Nicholas Aro has decided to retire from the session so far outside of points. Safety cars do happen. Kind of a questionable decision, even with a little bit of frustration from the incidents before. More battling here between Maxime and Cam. Cam on those softs, not able to just pull away from Maxime, so Maxime keeps giving him some trouble. But T-Nell in front of him actually is losing DRS. It has lost. Potentially. No, he's back in it. So we still have an 18-car train. Hopefully this McLaren coming out on the track does not hamper anyone's race. But Fred has caught the back of Ryan. But still not to the point where those softs start to drop off. Fred's sitting about 17% tire wear. Getting close to that 25% tire wear drop off compared to our medium runners who are all around 13%. Chad Swindle all the way up to P5. He did start P5, so he's kind of sitting where he was. We'll see. Again, probably a lap and a half or so before Fred hits that drop-off. So let's see. He did catch up about a second in clean air to Ryan on the previous lap. So let's turn on the telemetry here. We can kind of see where Fred's battery is. Fred around 30% battery. The leaders all around the same. Quentin with a solid amount of battery. Very patient on his battery so far. Chad also. But Nathan Delisle trying to put a little pressure on Chad here, using a lot of battery there. I think we just saw him drop about 10%, causing Chad to have to use a little bit of his as well. But let's see, we're heading towards the final corner, and just a few laps ago we had quite a bit of bumping between the leaders, causing Nicholas Aro to be spun out towards the back. Fred looking to make a move on Ryan, trying to go around the outside, not quite far enough alongside. He's actually having to go so wide, and actually put him at risk of being overtaken by Quentin. Right on board with Quentin here. Quentin being patient with his battery. Fred looks like he's still trying to make a move on Ryan. Ryan trying not to overtake Eruption, it looks like there. Just defending his position. But we have a really close battle between the top six here. T-Nell has lost the DRS to this leading train. The other flag, looks like Beamer just crashed out. We'll be able to see what happened here. Looks like he just went off and crashed, but no safety car, no VSC. We are still green flags. Oh, Fred with a little bit of a snap there. Fred losing a little bit of time. He has hit that 25%. We're still about 5% from everyone else running on these mediums. So Fred now at the disadvantage. Quentin with a ton of battery looking to make a move on Fred, who has, again, just his tires have started to drop off. Those soft tires just not holding up anymore. Quentin overtaking Fred, a place that you don't see a lot of overtakes happen, and now he's using a lot of battery to catch back up. So now, what will happen between Fred and his teammate? Will they swap positions? Actually, as I said, we have a med back in the DRS of Natshot. Back behind him, Cam Bourne, all the way back up into P8. So he's doing a good job, but he still won't have DRS going towards turn 1 here, or he will. Oh, he actually does. Look at that, close enough. Still a big train. Castleman and Cal having a bit of battle going to turn 1. Castleman with literally 0 battery. Cal with 0 battery also kind of sending it into turn 1. Kind of a really late, but That's one gives him a lot of space. Oh, and Cal goes over the curb and spins into the wall. A little ambitious trying to stick around the outside there. May not have been ready for that bump that he hit going over that turn 2 curb. Fred doing a good job sticking with Quentin. Kind of saved up his battery. But again, his teammate is on quicker tires now. Elios actually retiring in the pits. Now Nathan Delisle right on the back of Chad Swindle. Again, not a lot of battery. Let's look for Chad, about 37. But he's doing a good job of sticking right behind him. We actually see both the Alphas in this DRS train. So Cam is in it all the way down to P11. Castleman just outside of this lead train. But the big thing here is we're going to see Eruption has basically led this race since the end of lap 1. So his battery's not looking so hot. Cam Bourne and Maxime having a little bit of a battle here. Actually, Cam Bourne being overtaken by Maxime, using his entire battery. Cam Bourne also on a wide shot here as they go side by side into turn 1. Cam Bourne a little bit ahead. But again, he's having that same issue that Fred is having. Those tires just not holding up as well as he would like. But he does hold off Maxime for the moment. 2 more laps around, he'll have to do that. So looking forward may not be, or he may not be able to get anything else going forward. His hope now will be to just hold these medium runners behind him off. Looks like everyone in this lead train just being really patient, not taking any crazy moves, not using their battery, so they can dump it all in this last lap to make some plays happen. So this last lap might be quite spicy. Oh, and Nathan Delisle just spun. Looked like he spun on his own. Oh, all the way from P6 down to looks like he's going to be basically last. If Cal can get in front of him before he can get his car turned around, kind of hit the wall. So that is a tragedy for him. He's doing so well in his first race here. Awesome. Now Quentin looking to make some moves, going all the way around. Marcel Paps taking the lead of the race. We have 2 laps to go. Quentin has decided to take the lead, maybe look to try to pull away from everyone else. Back here towards the back. Looks like Fred is finally letting Chad go by. This is a really weird way to do this. He's not giving him any slipstreams. So now Tinel is maybe looking to make some moves. This very odd. Now they're side by side. What is this play from Williams? They're going to lose the lead train if they keep racing like this. Fred's still in front. Oh no. Now Chad having to cut the corner as he's overtaken by Ahmed. What a disaster class from Williams there. And now he goes on the curb and he goes off. He's going to get a penalty when he comes back on. No, he doesn't, but he goes all the way down to P10. So I don't know what is going on in that Williams call, but that was not it. Back up towards the front, Quentin actually pulling a gap up to 6/10. Him and Ryan really quite similar in battery. Eruption. This actually gives Eruption an opportunity to recharge a little bit of battery for this final lap battle. Ryan Newton actually with a penalty. Oh no, Ryan must have had a moment there because he actually got overtaken by Fred. So now Quentin actually is a second ahead of Eruption. So with Ryan out of that, with all that battery he had stored up, that just means Quentin might just run away with this now. Cam Bourne, our championship leader, up to P6. Ryan getting back in front of Ahmed. A lot of stuff happening here. Cam Bourne going for some moves here, going around the outside on this final corner, leading to the final lap. Ryan actually hitting the wall there. It looks like somebody has some front wing damage. I think actually Tino actually has front wing damage. Not sure where that happened. But Ryan back up into P4, but he does have that 3-second time penalty. Chad in front of Tinel back up to P9. Fred is still fighting for P2 here. Cam Bourne looking maybe to solidify his P4, but where it stands now, he will finish in front of Ryan because of that time penalty. So back up towards the front, Quentin saw his moment and took it. Now he is almost a second and a half ahead of Eruption and just dumping the rest of his battery. So he unless he makes a serious mistake. Oh, Camborne crashed out. Camborne is out. Our championship leader's out in the sprint. Now he's going to fall all the way down to P17 for the race. Oh, no. And we see what happened. Oh, his car's already despawned. I can't. Our championship leader crashes out on the final lap of our sprint. What? I am surprised by the amount of spiciness we've already had. A big battle here between Simon and, I believe, and these Aston Martins. Jaquan doing his best to try to fight him. Simon with a lot of battery, trying to stick around the outside as we go towards the hairpin for our final. At the end of our final lap, Fred going for an overtake on Eruption. Eruption will have DRS for this last straight, but he has no battery. Maxime still in front of Simon. Simon battling with Jaquan. Eruption not going to be able to overtake, I would imagine, because he has no battery. It's going to be close. 60. Let's see. Where does Simon? Simon actually is. Oh, Chad almost got him at the line. Ooh, big battle between him and the rest of those Aston Martins. But big finish for Maxime and Jaquan for Aston Martin. Roldy must be so happy with this sprint result. 4 and 5 going into our race. So holy moly, what a spicy 9 laps, man. We have 25 more to go, so I can't wait for our race. So again, we are going to be restarting our lobby so we can reset the grid and everyone can take a little pee break, get a little water. Won't be too quick. So when we get this set up, guys, we will be back. But again, Quentin, spicy P, starting from P2 to P1. Fred actually getting P2, but a lot of spiciness. Nicholas Aro getting pulled, but all the way down to P20 after lap 1. Eruption in P3. Both Aston Martins in 4 and 5. Simon back up to P6. So Simon's had a rough start. Really nice place for him. Chad Swindle P7. Ryan P8. Major Castman, our race winner from last week, P9. Magnus Cube and Duncan McCamick into P10 and 11. So very nice recovery for our race band, or our qualifying bands of Magnus Cube and Nathan Doan. T-Nell, really good spot towards the end of that, and then had damage, put him down to P13. Our championship leader, Cam Bourne, having to start the race from P17. This may be a really big opportunity for Quentin to put himself back in contention for this championship. So we will be back in a little bit, guys, once the lobby's remade. Don't go anywhere. All right, everyone. We are back from our quick break to remake the lobby there for our race. I'm not sure. It may have been a little bit laggy during that time, but we are back. We will be going green in 3 minutes. So I told everyone not to ready up until 8:53. 3 minutes from now. Giving everyone plenty of time to put on their setups, set their strategy, mentally prepare, get a sip of water, whatever. We'll be going. So as we wait for everyone, this is our finishing order. Quentin, Freddie, and Marcel. Our top 3. Our championship leader falling all the way down to P17. Not sure what just happened to DeFi there. Nicholas Aro and McLaren, who was our pole sitter going into the sprint, but then was spun to the back at the end of lap 1. As we wait, I'm just trying to make sure that everyone back in the lobby left. Back in. Yeah, we saw some spiciness. Like I said, we had Nicholas Aro, who was on pole, but finished P20, and it looks like people have readied up way quicker than they needed to. It's not yet 8:53, so somebody messed up. We are underway. Eruption and Fred with a weird start there. Eruption diving into turn 1, trying to get in front of Quentin. He is on soft tires. And there goes Nicholas Aro, who has retired from the session and left. So I'm not sure if he just didn't load in with the setup or what, but he is out of the session. Eruption taking the lead. We have 4 people on hards. The rest of everyone else is either on softs or mediums. A lot of spiciness happening back here. We actually see, I believe it's an AlphaTauri off the track. Net shot with LDL Net shot is back up to P10 after having a spin towards the end of the race, already with a 5-second penalty for illegal overtakes. That's not going to help his race any. Simon Carlson actually getting back in between these Aston Martins on these soft tires. Did finish in P6 in the sprint. Cam Bourne, our championship leader, up to P13, decided to start on hards. His teammate right behind him already with a penalty also. I'm assuming that was another illegal overtake. So that's not something we'll be able to clear after the race, as they will have to pit at some point this race, and they will have to serve that penalty. Ryan Newton actually overtaking his teammate there. I mean, he was overtaken. Eruption with the fastest lap of the session so far. More battling from Ryan. Both the Mercedes on soft tires, so big battling here between Jaquan and Ryan Newton. Going side by side through the middle of this first sector. Losing a lot of time to his teammate, Maxime. Maxime actually overtaking Fred, so Fred must have had a bit of a moment there, but Eruption and Quentin are just running away from the rest of the field. Fred may have gone off track, but Ryan trying to make a move here. Again, soft tires are going to be very, very racy for about 3 or 4 laps. Quite a challenge for Jaquan to keep him behind, but he still has a train in front of him. So as long as he holds on and holds on until he has DRS on this next lap, he'll have a shot of keeping Ryan behind him. But again, P3 and that is Maxime now, but a 2-second gap between him and Quentin. Ryan again trying to dump his entire battery, trying to get in front of Jaquan here. big sin down the inside. A little bit of dummy on the outside. Jaquan not into the wall, but Ryan with a big overtake attempt. Eruption setting fastest lap again. Both Ryan and Jaquan using their entire battery, but Ryan not able to get that move to stick, so Jaquan goes defensive into turn 1 in front of Ryan. A lot of battle. Something happening back here, I think, with Cam Bourne. Overtaken by Beamer, or Anand Trivedi in that Haas. On those soft tires, so big advantage. May have been a bit of an incident or moment for Cam Bourne. Quite a bit behind everyone else. Back in P14, 2.6 second gap between Anand and Duncan. But Ryan still trying to find any way he can to get past Jaquan, trying to maximize the best laps of this soft tire. Really good exit there for Ryan, but just not a very good place he can make an overtake without a lot of battery. And again, we see that gap towards the front just growing and growing. Already close to 3 seconds between Quentin and Eruption and the rest of the field. Freddie overtaking Maxime. Put him in this podium place. Now we have 5 drivers looking to fight for this final podium position right now. Both of the Aston Martins and both of the Mercedes. Maxime actually overtaking Fred going into the final corner. So now we go on to lap 4, and Fred's looks like he's going to take that position back. Ryan is still behind Jaquan, so Jaquan's still holding off the Mercedes. Big lunge from Ryan there going to turn 1. Very clean raise from both of them. A lot of space, no contact. But Ryan still just... oh, there was the contact. Jaquan actually being sent around. He's still alive, but there was a lot of contact there. It looked like he went almost sideways from our angle there. We'll have to see what happened in the post-race review. Chad Swindell, the first hard runner. Oh, yeah, Jaquan just completely out of position after whatever happened up there with those 2 Mercedes. So now Chad Swindell has a little bit of... oh, it looks like Jaquan just may have damage. Yeah, Jaquan actually has damage, so he hit the wall, so that's rough for him. And Nathan Doan actually out. That's a safety car. Nathan Doan crashing out of the race. Back by himself in P19, so Nathan Doan, who was on those soft tires, crashes out of the race. And that gives us a safety car, so that'll give an opportunity for Stelios and Nathan Delisle to clear this 5-second time penalty if they decide to pit. And again, remember, we made the lobby, so everyone has 1 billion tires. So it'll be interesting to see what everyone's strategy here is. I'm assuming the hard runners will stay out. I would imagine most people are going to pit, even our medium runners, as their tire wear is already close to 20%. Eruption, no doubt, going to be going in here. What will Quentin do? Quentin follows him. What will Fred do? I would imagine everyone should be pitting to new mediums or maybe potentially hards for Eruption to try to go to the end. What does he do? He is going to mediums. A little bit of a slow stop for him. Does Quentin jump him? Quentin's going to jump him. So Quentin putting on the hard tires, trying to go to the end, actually jumps Eruption, who had a bit of a slow pit stop. Must have missed the turn-in button there. Like I said before, oh, that's a big mistake from the other Nathan here, Nathan Delisle, LDL Nat shot, not pitting to clear that time penalty. Bourne does pit. Why is Cal just lost 1 billion positions? Must have been... No, just some pit stop weirdness. Haas double stack there, or an AlphaTauri double stack. Yeah, just a lot of mess going into there. So now medium and hard tires for everyone else. Castleman on the softs, trying to commit to a 2-stop here with this safety car. There's always the potential for another safety car, so he's just looking to get track position at the start when this race restarts, excuse me. But 2 people staying out. We have Chad Swindell on the hards. Let's see where he started. Chad Swindell up 6 positions, so we start down in P7 or P6. Probably P7. But again, he is not on the net lead strat, so everyone behind him is on new tires. So he expects to have to pit. We do have 20 laps to go, but With the tire wear, it is possible for the hards to run the remaining duration of this race, particularly with the, at this point, we're on lap 5. The expectation for with where the grid is at now, we probably won't restart until the end of 6. We'll be going from lap 7 to the end. That puts him in a rough spot, so he's at least going to have to pit one more time. His hard runners will likely be able to go to the end, but will it be the correct strategy? Even the medium tires, they likely... maybe not. Medium tires going to the end would be quite ambitious. We're sitting at that shot already up to 17% with his tire wear on these mediums. About a lap and a half behind the safety car. Put him in a rough spot towards the end of the race. So he is no doubt going to pit again, because if he finishes on this set of tires, well, he'll just get disqualified. I think a big... it was probably the only option for Chad to stay out. If he sat behind Fred and go through the double stack, it may have hurt his race even more than staying out would have. And it's probably better that we don't see the Williams cars. Maybe, actually, no, it would have been nice to see the Williams cars have to be by each other again, because we saw some single-celled brain activity happening with whatever they were doing in the sprint. Although, nice job from Fred for recovering from their intellectual disaster with a little help from people crashing and spinning, that nature. But again, now on lap 6, the safety car should come in this lap. Everyone is caught up now. Stelios Repus did serve his 5-second time penalty, so that puts him at the back of the grid. And Bourne, our championship leader, in P14. So a lot of work to do, maintain his position in P1 in our championship. Bring that up here. Ooh, wrong button. This button. So as we finish this safety car, we kind of look at our standings again. Marcel Paps in a very good spot in P4, net P2 at the current moment to take the championship lead, with Cam Bourne all the way down P14. But safety car has announced that it's going in this lap, so we will return to the action. Take a look right on board with Chad Swindle as he does our first safety car restart of this session. And what we've seen before, that looks like he's just doing it smooth, just going straight in. So it looks like he's just going to go right off the corner. So there it is. Safety car has restarted. Chad Swindle trying to get the best jump he possibly can, because he is at a big disadvantage with these old tires. How quickly will Quinton on these brand new hards clear Delisle and clear Swindle, or Swindell, however you pronounce it. Chad. Eruption on these medium tires is going to have quite a big advantage, so let's take a look. Watch these deltas, see who's close. Simon really close. Actually, Quinton looks like he rode the curb, so he had to cut the corner, so Eruption takes the position from him. No time penalty for Quinton, but I'm assuming he did pick up a track limit warning there. Looks like a yellow flag. Looks like Nadewell, our reserve for Michael Bubla, had a bit of a moment there at the end of Sector 1. So now he's back at the back of the grid. Cam Bourne from P14. Eruption making moves now, getting past Nathan Delisle in that Alfa Romeo. Now if he can catch up to Chad and clear him quickly before Quinton can clear this traffic, it may put him in a really nice position. So again, really nice battle between these Aston Martins and these Mercedes. Quinton actually getting by Nathan here, going into this final back straight. It looks like Eruption making a big send on Chad. Looks like he's going to make the move stick here. Quinton actually right behind Chad now too. It looks like Quinton's going to go for a move. Big battery dump here. Going around the outside. Even has the slipstream from Eruption. Going to get squeezed over. Is he going to make a move? No move going to turn 1, but Fred actually overtakes his teammate. But now we have the opportunity for more Williams on Williams whatever Excuse me. Throat getting a little dry there. I had to take a drink. But it's not all dead for them. They are still, as long as they can maintain their position in these trains. But, I mean, we saw them get overtaken quite quickly, so it's going to be quite a challenge for Nathan Delisle to stick with everyone. These tires are not going to get any better. Effectively 15% extra tire, or actually, excuse me, more like 20% extra tire wear for Nathan Delisle compared to the rest of these medium runners. But Eruption using quite a bit of battery there, trying to break the toe of Quentin. We did see before that both of them were able to gap the field for a good amount of time before that safety car came out. That shot falling further and further down the field, down to E6. And now in front of him, Chad Swindle has fallen out of the DRS range of Fred, so Fred leaving him in the dust. Kind of has no choice at this point, just deciding not to pit, really hurting now. Ryan going to be able to easily overtake Chad here going to turn 1, as Chad has no DRS and old tires. Oh, excuse me, DRS just activated, so it was not, there was no DRS there anyway, but easy for Ryan. New tires, nice toe. But a big gap. But he is on better big gap for him to close to Fred to get back up in this lead train. But he does have better tires at the current moment. Nadewell actually retires in the pit lane. So no safety car there. Maxime overtaking Nathan Delisle on those pressure hard tires. Like he's under, oh, migrating host. Uh-oh, is that me disconnecting or is that the lobby having issues? Hopefully that's me. Try to get back in as quickly as we can. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Trying to get back in as quickly as we can. Sorry about that. This will mess up my telemetry. Like no one's saying anything. That's positive. Back. As soon as this loads in, we'll be back in the action. Okay, we are back in it, boys and girls. Sorry about that. Internet diff right now. Looking back at this, it looks like... Wrong button. Chad Swindle still holding on to the back. Well, actually, Ryan actually gapping this second train quite quickly. Caught up to Fred, and Maxime almost 3 seconds behind him. So we have a 4-train car for this lead. And Nathan Delisle falling down to P8, still sticking with everyone though, or the people around him for now. Championship leader Cam Bourne still down in P14, but he's still a part of this mid-pack train. Cal getting in front of Nathan Delisle, Castleman getting in front of Magnus and Cube back here for P12. Ooh, who was that? Cam Bourne going off very deep, losing several positions, falling all the way down to P17. So he's in the back of the grid for our championship leader. Maxime losing more and more time, so this is going to mean that he's going to be under threat from both Chad and Simon. Well, let's see, we have Chad and Simon side by side going into turn 1. No battery being used, so Simon being very patient with his battery, or... Oh, Chad going really close. Oh, Chad locking up, almost going into the back of Maxime, so he's going to have to give that position to Simon after going offline there. A lot of stuff happening back here. We have a 3 wide going through this first sector. So far, no one going off track there. Magnus and Cube really close to Castleman. A really close battle here, all the way up for P10. Again, look at that lead between our top 4 and the rest of the field. Maxime, in just the time we've been here after the reconnect, just about almost 2 seconds lost to that lead train. Camborne back up to P16. Able to overtake Duncan. Ryan with really low battery, as to be expected, as he had to push to catch back up with the leaders. Quentin doing a good job of preserving his battery for now. Back up to this midfield. Looks like Cal is going to go for an overtake. He's dumping a lot of his battery there. Try to overtake Nathan Delisle. Not going to be able to get it done before we go back down this pit straight. Nathan will have DRS, but Chad will not in front of them. Nathan has decided to go ahead and pit, so he's just throwing the towel in there. Going to clear that penalty, go all the way to the back. So his only hope to improve his position will likely be a safety car. Big battle here again. I keep missing these battles going to turn 1. I need to pay more attention. Like Camborne getting in front of T-Nail. So Camborne back up to P13 before he went off. So still a lot of work to do to get himself in a position to hold on to his lead in our championship. Daquan quite close to Castleman in front of him. But outside of our top 4, we have a DRS train down to the back, except with the exclusion of Nathan Delisle. There's a pit stop behind everyone else now, having not pit behind the safety car. But Beamer actually, or non-Giretti, losing a lot of time to Cal, so now he's under threat of Major Castleman as he does not have DRS. So Castleman will overtake him, still on these soft tires, so he's going to have to pit at some point. No way he can make it to the end on these tires. A lot of time to make up to get back in the DRS of Cal, so he might be under threat going to turn 1 depending on how much time he gains here to Cal. But Cal doing a good job throwing that distance. But like I said, Castleman under threat a little bit to Anand and Jaquan, but nobody making a move just yet. So Castleman going to have to dump a lot of battery to keep Anand behind. Anand does not have a lot of battery right now. Camborne overtaking Magnus and Cube back here, so a lot more spiciness. We're going to get it this time, guys. Anand gets him going into turn 1 again, or gets Castleman going into turn 1 side by side here between Camborne and Magnus and Cube. Looks like Camborne is going to get a little bit ahead, and Magnuson looks like he backs out going into the rest of Sector 1. It's still a big gap between P8 and P9 between Cal and Anand. As I say that, looks like something happened. Anand just caught up quite quickly, so solid from him. Camborne actually back in the fight again, getting overtaken by his teammate. Lost 2 positions there, so he must have gone off track again. And now Chad has lost time to Maxime, so he's lost that DRS. So now Cal may have an opportunity to overtake him going into this first DRS straight on the back half of this track. Really close racing in this midfield battle right now. Again, Chad is still on old tires, has not pit. Electing to not double stack behind Fred behind the safety car. This is going to be an easy overtake for Cal. No way Chad can do anything. Chad just trying to go as defensive as he can to not let any more cars through. Beamer does not elect to send it on Chad going in to this final corner. Chad looks like maybe deciding to pit. Yeah, he's decided to throw in the towel also and pit. So he's going in, does not get a penalty. That puts Simon back into P5. And Cal kind of being left out to dry by Chad pitting there. So he's going to have to close that gap that Chad created between him and the lead car of Maxime and Simon. So Cal, not a lot of battery left, but working together with a few people behind him, he might be able to catch this battle for P4 and 5 between Simon and Maxime. And towards the front, it's basically remained the same. Everyone just kind of saving battery towards the end of this race. The midfield has definitely provided us a little bit more content. But it's nice to see Simon actually battling for some solid points. He has not had a solid race this entire season. Good qualifying last week in Vegas, qualifying in the top 7. I can't remember exactly where he qualified. Maybe P4 almost, if I remember correctly. But then being hunted on lap 1. But back towards the back, we have Castleman, who has decided to already pit. So he's going to kind of go for the long play here. So he pit behind Chad. Him and Chad are together. Nathan Delisle is 2 seconds behind him, so maybe not enough of an undercut there to put him in a position to fight them. That 5-second penalty, having to serve that, definitely hurting a lot. Back up here towards the front, Maxime still holding up behind, or holding Simon behind him, but it's going to be quite the challenge. Simon having a lot of battery, being really patient with his battery, doing the same thing his teammate has been doing. Simon should take the lead here, or excuse me, P5 from Maxime. But Cal has caught up with him, so he does have DRS. So we have a DRS train from P5 down to P11. So we have some... T-Now decided to pit off these mediums, maybe put on some softs to go to the end. Looks like that's exactly what he's doing. A little bit of a battle here between Major Castleman and Chad Swindell. There's an easy overtake for Major Castleman, our race winner from last week. Looks like we see Cam Bourne is also elected to pit, so our championship leader in P15 on a fresh set of boots. Looking at our tire wear now, actually, it looks like these medium runners maybe... Medium runner, so Eruption is around 40% or 40% tire wear. Ryan Newton's about 43.9. We've been racing for about 7.5 laps now. So going to the end on those mediums is probably not going to happen. The hards may be able to make it, but we will see what everyone decides to do. Most of these medium runners will likely elect to pit. Hard runners may have other options, as their tire wear showing about % difference right now. T-Nell overtaking his teammate back here in the back. Well, should be able to catch up with these medium runners on these fresh softs. As you see, he already has. So the benefit here for Nathan Delisle, he's back in the race, so he is in this train. Well, you know, kind of lost it again, so we'll see how this goes for these Alfa Romeos. Back up towards the lead again. Look, everyone just kind of sitting on their battery. It looked like Quentin may have spent a little battery trying to maybe break the toe of everyone behind. Elias Repus deciding to pit, coming out behind everyone else, but on fresher tires, although not that much fresher, but he did put himself back to the back of the grid. Yellow flag somewhere. That is Natshot. Just crashed out. Safety car. Oh, that's a VSC, so not a full safety car. So depending on how long, everyone should be going into the pits. Everyone who is not pit now, I would imagine, but only a VSC. That's really surprising. Natshot crashed out on his own, causing a virtual safety car. We're unable to see what happened. Looks like he went off at turn 3. May have gone into the wall, or maybe just turned a little too much and broke off that front left axle. So now that's going to get everyone the opportunity to maybe harvest a little bit of battery here as they play around their Delta. Al just going full beans on the throttle there. Quentin deciding to pit. Eruption deciding to pit. Fred staying out on those hard tires, so he's liking to do that. Ryan pitting. Simon pitting. Maxime staying out. So all these medium runners are all going in, with the exception of Quentin, who decided to pit off of those. That is a wow. Why are these guys going on mediums? There's 7 laps to go. Okay, so Fred. So we have 3 hard runners, old hard runners, taking the lead of this race. DRS enabled. So that is that. So how far back did they come? So Fred is 9 seconds in the lead to Maxime. So how far is he to these fresh tires? There's only 7 laps to go. 17 seconds. What did they just give Fred the win? Like, what is this? What is happening right now? Okay, well, so let's take a look. That just screwed up our entire grid right now. So these hard runners are way out in front, and they just completely destroyed our little trains that we had going. Cal in P7 with fresh mediums. Ryan in P6 with fresh softs. Ryan, who should absolutely smoke these mediums. Well, we did see him at the beginning of the race, but this is just really surprising. Simon overtaking Cal here for P7. Castleman back up there. Remember, he pit earlier on before the VSC came out, but that VSC just absolutely threw this race all over the place. Remember, it was 30 seconds. I don't know how Quentin is going to close 30 seconds to Fred. That is a huge gap. Fred can, at this point, Fred's just going to close. Let's just look at this gap one more time. Let's see. I'm sorry, not 30 seconds, 14 seconds. That. Whew. All right, let's keep an eye on these lap times, guys, because that was absolutely insane. Uh, may have been a very questionable call, but Eruption and Quentin fighting here. Quentin not going for the overtake here, electing to stay behind. But Ryan is in their DRS now. Simon 10 seconds behind. So this is what I mean. Just huge gaps. There's these huge gaps all over the track now. So going to be a big battle for P7 now and a big battle for P4. Jaquan is losing a lot of time to Marcel. So I'm going to tab out for one moment and make sure I can see. It's okay. Stupid windows kind of got on top of each other. Looks like Quentin still in P5 behind Eruption. Ryan really close behind him. So now Ryan, this is almost like a battle for P2 is kind of what it looks like. They're close behind these old hard runners between Maxime and Jaquan in the Aston Martins. They will, for no doubtedly, catch up to them at some point as these tires are 13 laps old. But we'll keep an eye on these lap times. Fred is going to cross the line for his first lap behind the VS after the VSC. Did a 31.5. I believe he had a little bit of VSC at the start of that lap. Nope, now it's a 31.5. So let's see what we get from Eruption. Quentin with a 28.2, so a little more than 2 seconds faster than Fred, but with 6 laps to go, that's a huge gap to close. So now Jaquan leading this train for this final podium position. Or I'm sorry, Maxime leading this train for the 2 and 3 spot. Again, Fred 10 seconds in the lead because of this VSC we had just a couple of laps ago. Quentin overtaking Jaquan. Jaquan being, oh yeah, Jaquan just being eaten up by everyone. He's just having to give up all these spots. There's just no way he can fight these fresh softs, fresh mediums with these old hards. So now Jaquan just find a good spot. This is a huge gap. He has 13 seconds to the next driver. So now Maxime going to be the next car to be eaten up, but still 5 and 6 for the Aston Martins is still a big point load, particularly considering they finished. Both of them finished in the points for the sprint. Now 10 seconds between what were our previous leaders to Fred. So Fred is making good use of this VSC. That is a huge gap. So now this is just Maxime and Jaquan. They're not really going to be able to fight these guys. With these old tires, now they can just work together and just, once they inevitably lose the DRS in the next lap or so to these quicker runners, Eruption and Quentin battling hard here. These guys need to recognize that if they want to win the race, maybe they recognize they can't win the race, so they're just battling for position now. But if they want to win the race, they have to just let somebody lead and somebody tug them along, or just do a little leapfrogging in DRS, because 9.4 seconds now. Fred doing a 31.1 last lap, or Quentin doing a 29.8. So they're still moving quite quick. But a huge gap to close. Maxime getting close to falling out of DRS. He's going to use all of his battery to try to just stick with it just for a little bit longer to give them a little bit more time, a little bit more of a gap to play with between them and Cal, who is the leader of our next train here. Cam Bourne, our championship leader, is still down in P14, so he has not had an opportunity to really make anything happen this race. Actually, Chad Swindell losing time to a non-Trivedi in front of him. He is on older tires because he did pit before the VSC, and he has no battery. So he is not going to be able to keep Ahmed behind him in that Aston Martin, who's on those fresh softs. So he now takes the lead of this rear train for P12. Simon on the back of Cal. Looks like he's going to be able to overtake him going into this final corner on these softs. Still battling between Quentin and Eruption, but it's not too bad so far. So that gap down to 7.8. We're on lap 21 now. So for Eruption, 29.8. Fred with a 31.7. So Fred is just clenching his butt cheeks now, hoping that this happens. Or that they cannot catch him, excuse me. big fighting here between Chad Swindell and Cam Bourne, and Nan Trivedi is well in front of them. Cam Bourne, Stelios, and Chad Swindle. They're just losing more and more time, so almost 3.5 seconds to Nan Trivedi. So these guys are going to have a rough time trying to catch back up. So Alpine in the bin right now. Al, Simon, and Major Castleman, and Magnus and Cube, and Anand Trivedi in a little bit of a train here behind Jaquan. But still, look, 9.5 seconds, but the gap to the lead is now 6.4. It's very possible we may see a grandstand finish at the end when these old tires, or when these new tires catch these old tires. But again, it's going to take a lot of discipline from these guys to not go crazy and battle each other, because any second lost is it's another second that Fred gets to stay in the lead. See what they're doing. Still, they're having to dump their battery. They all know they have to push as hard as they can if they want to have any opportunity to go for the win here. It's like their Eruption just not battling too hard. Quentin now takes P2 down to 5.6 seconds. We have 22, 23, 24, 20. We are on 3.5 laps to go. And at this pace, if this pace continues, we've already seen them cut the lead down to about 5 seconds. But still a long way to go, and these tires will not hold this pace forever. Back in our kind of our third train here, or yeah, I guess our third train, since Maxime and Jaquan would count as their own train here. Major Castleman, a bit of a battle here between him and Magnus and Cube. Remember, Major Castleman pit before the VSC. So he is at a bit of a disadvantage here, having older tires. But Cal so far doing a good job leading this train. Not leading the train, leading the medium runners, as Simon does lead the train that they are in. But a big surprise though, Cam Bourne almost 5 seconds a lap, or 5 seconds behind Anand Trivedi in P11, excuse me. So he is going to lose. It is likely he will lose his championship lead to Eruption if it finishes where we're at now. But Quentin going to overtake Marcel, and Ryan actually sending it down the inside of Marcel also. So Marcel gets in front of Eruption. Or, I'm sorry, I said Eruption gets in front of Eruption. Ryan gets in front of Marcel. Simon and Cal having a bit of a battle here. Going into turn one, but Cal staying behind Simon. But we are down to under 4 seconds with 2.5 laps to go. The lead of this race, Fred did a 31.7, so he's doing consistent laps, but Quentin did a 30.1, Ryan did a 30.0. It's going to be really close. Yellow flag, we have Tina who actually crashed out of the race. Oh no, he did this. Oh, he may have done the same thing that Nathan Delisle did. He turned too much and hit the wall and snapped off his suspension, so from what looked like such a good position for Alfa Romeo in the sprint has just ended up in disaster with the DNF for both of them. I believe Ahmed will classify, so he'll score P16 points, but I believe he'll be the last one to classify for this race. Looking at the batteries here, Fred with literally no battery, just holding on for dear life on these ancient tires. Quentin around 37, Ryan about 27, Marcel around 19. So Ryan, no doubt, going to go looking for an overtake on Quentin here. But look, they can see Fred now, 3.2, 3.1, about 3 seconds behind Fred now with 2 laps to go, or a lap in one less corner. Back here, we have a bit of a battle between Simon and Cal. Simon's going to overtake Cal going to turn one, but Cal's going to try to stick around the outside because he's trying to defend from Major Castleman. He's able to hold his position for now. Simon not able to close the gap to these Aston Martins like the leaders were able to close the gap to Fred, but 2.4 seconds now. But a really close battle. 4P7 between 4 cars right now, or 5 cars, excuse me. Now losing a bit of time to Simon, but he still has DRS. should be able to close that gap up a little bit to protect himself from the cars behind. Back up here towards the lead. Ryan getting that gap to close to 2 seconds now. Under 2 seconds now. Look at that delta falling. Fred's tires must seriously be hurting now. They are absolutely going to catch Fred on this last lap. But will they be able to overtake him with all this battling? It's going to be such a fiesta on this last lap. Simon with a lot of battery. Look at that. 65%. Just Cal 16. Castleman's 30. Magnussen with nothing. Anand with probably something similar. Yeah, 20%. But Quentin's going to overtake Ryan going into the final lap. Again, 1.2 to Fred. So let's watch them. What's it going to be for Fred? Fred did a 32 flat. Quentin did a 30.5. Ryan did a 30.1. So let's see. He will have DRS going down this back straight. So this looks like Quentin might be setting himself up for a W here. Not a lot of battery. Bit of a lag for me. Again, Fred has no battery. Ryan has no battery. Quentin has a little bit of battery. Eruption has a little bit of battery. It's right on board the back of this train to see how this plays out. Eruption using his battery, just desperate to try to make a play. Get on that podium. And Fred leading the race going into the final lap at 20-lap-old tires. No battery. Does Quentin go for a move here? Does Ryan go for a move here? Ryan dumping his battery. Quentin dumping his battery. Quentin just too far back to make a move, I think. Okay, Fred going into the final DR. Oh, well, second to last. Oh, Fred almost squeezing Quentin into the wall, but Fred giving him space. Now Ryan's going to have the onus. Get Fred no DRS. Where does Eruption? Quentin looks like he's going to win the race. Fred's still holding on to P2 for now. A little bit of bumping. Ryan having to try to just stuck behind Fred. Now Eruption is side-by-side. Little tap there from Ryan. What's going to happen? Is Eruption going to come in P3? He does. Fred holds on to P2 after that fiesta of a finish. Simon and Cal with a big battle here. A lot of tapping. Simon losing its front there a lot. And now Cal's going to finish in front of him. A lot of battery for Simon. And can he get him at the line? He's going to get him at the line. Oh, 21,000. So close. Anand finishing right behind Magnussen by such a similar gap there. Cam Bourne, our championship leader, likely to fall out of the championship lead after this race with a finish in P12. That VSC just gave us such a spicy finish there. Just having to close a 10-second gap to our race leader, Fred, and Fred doing a defensive masterclass through that final sector there to keep himself P2 after making the really gutsy call to hold on to that lead, or to stay out in that VSC, I think on lap 17 or lap 16. Whew, what a spicy ending there. So Quentin takes the race W, takes the sprint W as well. So Quentin scoring maximum points this weekend with 8 points in the sprint and 35 points in the race wins. That's going to put him right back into championship contention after missing a race earlier this season. And then Marcel finishing in front of Ryan. There will definitely be some steward inquiries for what happened on that final lap. But so far, that big points for Aston Martin, big points for Red Bull, big points for Mercedes. So their combined battle is going to get a big mix-up this week with Alfa Romeo falling so far back, not scoring very many points, maybe 5 points in this final race. So there's our final finishing order. Throw up our final classification screen as we try to get our boys into our waiting room. Okay, and as we wait for them to join the waiting room, again, Quentin finishing in front of Fred. Fred staying out on 20-lap-old tires. Not putting behind the VSC, and then these absolutely rapid beans of Quentin, Marcel, and Ryan just closing a 10-second gap in 7 laps to Fred. So that was one heck of a race, and I see Marcel, who is Marcel Pabst, our Austrian brother, finishing
Hello.
P3 after that exciting race. When you guys decided to pit for the behind the virtual safety car, did you guys think you were going to be able to catch Fred?
Yes. If we would have worked together, which we did, and yeah, we managed to catch him on the last lap, and then the last lap was mad. Holy shit.
It was absolutely, man. You have three cars on the same tires versus one car on super old tires. Man, you guys are gonna have to watch the broadcast back because that was a lot of fun seeing it from our perspective. Marcel, I believe, unless my math is incorrect, this should put you in the championship lead in front of Cam Bourne, who finished all the way down in P12. How do you like your chances for the rest of this season?
It's gonna be difficult to be honest because I know Ryan still got like a lot of pace in him, and the future races like next race Australia could be a good track for me. I don't know. Never raced it in any league. Texas will be kind of mad, but yeah, we'll see. And yeah, it's nice to have a little bit of championship lead.
Well, congratulations, man. So, um, I asked everyone who did the interview last week how they felt about this random Grand Prix. I don't. How do you feel after having done it for this race? How do you feel about just the whole random Grand Prix thing?
Well, a lot of people think that if it's a random GP, it should be random. Like it should be announced. The track should be announced in the lobby, just before the start. And then there are other people that are like thinking, yeah, but preparation is still kind of needed. Like, for example, 50 minutes of a little bit of preparation is fine,
Yeah.
but 2 hours of preparation is like, for me, it's like a normal league race, to be honest. But everyone has their opinions, and yeah.
All right. Well, Marcel, very spicy P3 for you tonight. Next week we have Austria, so I look forward to that race, man. Good luck.
Yeah, it's kind of like a home race, to be honest, you
It,
know?
I guess it is. Yeah. Yeah. Marcel
Those
Paps,
Australian jokes.
our Australian. Yeah. All right, Marcel, have a good night.
Yeah, see you. Thank you for casting.
And in position two, with the biggest balls on the grid by staying out after that VSC, finished the race on 20 lap old hard tires in P2. Fred, how do you feel after that?
I'm fucking buzzing. Um, first podium of the season, first podium on this game in this league. Um, yeah, been a great drive. I had to risk it once again. The first time was so nice, I had to do it twice.
So when you had that huge gap, did you kind of assume that they would catch you at some point?
Oh yeah, 100%. But no, so yeah, I felt like I made the right strategy call, and then once but the SC ended, they caught like 4 seconds, so my delta was a bit fucked or dodgy. It was like 18 seconds, and like a lap later, it was like 14 seconds. So I was like, shit, what do I do here? Oh, I think I made it wrong. Cool, but then like their tires were like dying a little bit at the end, so like they were catching me like only by like a second a lap. But then I hit the 70% tire wear range, and that last lap really killed me to get the win. Just one less lap, I would have had it.
Yeah, they didn't actually have your DRS until that final lap. Like going into that final sector on that final, were you just kind of just what were you thinking? Because I know everyone just caught up with you. Quentin overtakes you. How hard was it to
Yeah,
kind of hold everyone else behind you?
I'm not gonna lie. Um, well, yeah, Quinton was in Peter at the time, so I just thought, yeah, I'm just gonna let him by, just try and get a podium. Podium is what I wanted, minimum. If I got that P4, I would be pissed, like annoyed at myself. Um, but yeah, the podium was always the task for tonight, and paid off strategy. So I'm super happy. I've got a flight in like 6 hours, so I do need to go soon.
All right, Fred. Well, we'll wrap this up then. Congratulations on your P2, man. Are you going to be here next week with us, or are you going to miss next week?
No, I'm here. I'm here. Just
Okay.
not much practice. You probably see me in the wall.
Fair enough. All right, dude. Enjoy your trip.
Nah, cheers, man. Cheers for the broadcast.
But And then finally, for our final interview of the night, we have our sprint and race winner, Quentin Cott, who, like I said, maximum points this weekend for Red Bull and for Quentin, who puts him right back in the championship battle with Piche not finishing the season. But Quentin, after that fiesta of a couple of races, how do you feel?
That was probably the most insane race I've ever driven in my entire life. That was the best race ever. I'm definitely gonna be rewatching that because that was just awesome.
So when you guys came out after the VSC, I know Fred mentioned that the delta between you guys like kind of threw around between like 18, 14, and 10 seconds. When you saw that final time about 10 seconds, how confident were you that you were going to be able to catch back up with him?
Honestly, I did not think I was going to catch him, but my engineers reassured me that I was going to catch him, and luckily on the final lap, in the final straight, I got him there. Especially with the battery advantage that I somehow had. Everybody else was flashing, which really helped a lot. So, and with the sprint win too, so 4 points.
Lots of points. So,
and the fastest lap. And the fastest lap.
Yeah, you did get fastest lap, so you'll have another point there. So,
literally
maximum points. Hunt. So, now we kind of missed it in the sprint. Saw Nicholas Aro, who put himself on pole. You know what happened between you guys on the end of that first lap?
Yeah, so Marcel was putting me under pressure, so I was obviously heading into the inside line for the final corner there. And I think my front wheel was right alongside Nicholas's rear wheel before we went into the corner, and I was like hugging the corner, and then I just tagged his rear tire, and it spun him around, unfortunately. But I feel like it's a racing incident, but if I get a penalty for it, it's all right because I think it's only penalty points.
Yeah, at the current moment, I believe a sprint we would only potentially change sprint. Wouldn't affect the primary race. But yeah, so Quentin, like I said, it puts you back in the championship battle. Next week we have Australia.
You might have cut out.
I did. Oh, yeah. I think I'm back. I'm not sure if I'm back.
Yeah. It's probably my best track, honestly. Like I fully expect to have a good result there, and if I don't, I'll be probably pretty frustrated with myself. So, yeah, I'm very much looking forward to Australia and dominating the weekend.
All right, well, Quentin, congratulations on this superb finish you had this weekend, and I look forward to the rest of the season.
All right, thank you very much.
All right. So that concludes our Division 1 race at our Division 1 random race over in Jeddah. Again, Quentin, Freddie, and Marcel taking our podium positions for the primary race. I'm not sure if the stream is still up, so I hope it is. But if it isn't, or if it is, then hope everyone has a good night. Make sure to come back tomorrow night and join us for Division 3. We will roll the track 2 hours before race time.